Hey, good morning. Welcome to Sports Talk Onslow County. It has been a cold week. Cold morning this morning. Another frost on the pumpkin this Friday morning. Ashley Moseley, co-host. A little chilly for you, Ashley?
A little bit.
It's only December 6th. We ain't even the first day of winter yet.
It's going to be cold tonight.
It's cold. You looking forward to that cold game at the Jacksonville Cardinals game?
I'm looking forward to us having to stand outside and call the ball game. But, yeah, at least we're there, buddy.
Well, even when it's inside, you like to get outside anyway.
I do.
Like to go visit. Got our guest today, Ellis Dillahunt.
Hello.
Glad to have you with us today. You've been on here before. Love talking high school football, college football, pro football. There's a lot going on in the world of football nowadays.
Oh, yes, it is.
It's not just high school football. There's people planting flags in midfield and fighting and NIL and transfer portal and man, the college game is just about ruined, ain't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The NIL stuff and
I think that's the start of everything.
Yes, it was.
Then now you got players acting like they never won a game before, want to go somebody else's field and start showing them up, and you know how that normally works out.
Yeah.
Not good. Not too good. Now, Ashley, when you played football, you didn't go plant no flag in the middle of the field when y'all whooped somebody, did you? You just whooped them and walked off.
We just left, got on the bus, went home.
And acted like you had done it before, right?
Right.
Well, not everybody's got the class that you do. Speaking of class, we got some of the classiest sponsors around.
We do. We really do.
Let's mention them. Why don't we do
Talk
that?
to me, buddy.
National Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, the losses of John Drew Warlick, CNS Paint, Ron Choate and Victor Case, Onslow County Motor Company, Fountain Management, Sandra Fountain, Wismart, Chappie's Chicken, Great Gas and Oil, Bartley Insurance Services, Bill Mercer, Humphrey Heating and Air Conditioning, Rock Creek Golf and Country Club, Golden Corral, Lane Associates Family Dentistry, Doctors Tommy and Kim Morgan, Jones Onslow EMC, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative, Southern Painting, Barnes Diamond Gallery, of course, and Bayshore Animal Hospital. Their new location, of course, is now open at 623 Sampson Drive in the Borough, Swansboro. I want to thank Helen's Kitchen and Billy Gristle. We did a little change up today. Got some cheeseburgers first thing in the morning. Like Billy, not Billy, what's that fella? The fella that had the cheeseburgers in Paradise.
Jimmy Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett. I want to say Billy Buffett, but Jimmy Buffett.
Billy Buffett.
I've been talking to Billy, too, at Helen's Kitchen, and it's not long for they're going to start making some good old soup and chili and stuff for the winter. So we'll have to get that one day.
I wanted some today. But
we love the Billy Bowls, but we like to mix it up a little bit.
Late, yeah.
Thank you to Billy Grissom and Helen's Kitchen for doing that. Want to thank Downey's Heating and Air Conditioning for sponsoring our Hurricane Watch coming up. Bad news in the world of hurricanes. It's been a bad week.
Well, they won 7 games in a row.
Well, when your top 2 goalies both get injured and gone, you might have to.
They're still out, huh?
Yeah, still out. Might have to have some growing pains with them new goalies. Jason Humphrey, thank you for sponsoring our Hurricane Watch with Downey's Heating and Air Conditioning. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch the shows and previous shows at YouTube at WSME Radio. And you can catch our show on Facebook at the Facebook page at Freedom 97.1 WSME. Y'all wave to everybody out there in TV land.
Hello.
Hello. Ellis says hello and Merry Christmas. Of course, Ashley wishes Merry Christmas. Did you have a good Thanksgiving, too?
Outstanding.
It was nice. Yeah. Real nice.
Real nice.
How about you, Ellis? Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Yes, I had a great time.
Did you eat too much turkey?
Now I got to go visit some my cousins. I was away from North Carolina for about 37 years. So
really?
I'm back home. So you say about 30 years.
Oh, nice.
I get to see, some relatives that
I
haven't seen in a while.
That's good. You can also find your favorite on-demand sports talk podcasts and stream the station live at our website at WSME971.com. So let's jump right in. Ellis, remind the sports world in Onslow County the years and I'll kind of walk you through it. High school football. You were at Jacksonville High School, of course. What year did you graduate?
83.
So that means you were on the 1982 state championship team.
Yes.
And that was your senior year. Were you a 2-year starter at varsity, 3-year?
I transferred in from Southwest. A lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know that.
I went to Southwest.
I did.
The 7th and 8th grade.
And then, but at Jacksonville, you were there for your whole high school career,
yes.
right? Mm-hmm. Did you play JV any or go straight to varsity?
I went straight to varsity.
Okay. Well, I don't know how we let you get away from Southwest High School. Around that time, you'd been playing with a pretty good group there too. Like when you were especially a sophomore, then Robert Simmons and all that crowd.
Yes.
Now imagine that team with Ellis Dillahunt on the team.
Well, Southwest had a good stable of horses to run the ball.
They did.
Yes,
Tommy Hines.
Yeah.
1 year they had two One was 2,000, one was 1,000 yards rushing in the same year, which, nowadays, running the ball is not what it used to be. I mean, teams don't do it like they used to.
Nah.
Now, you were under Coach Durham, so y'all were run.
Yeah.
And, of course, everybody knows about you from the defensive side of the ball. Did you play any offense, too?
At East Carolina?
No, at Jacksonville.
Yes.
Tell us what positions you
I played
there.
both sides of football. I played running back and defensive back.
So were you a corner in high school or a safety?
A corner.
Okay. Now, so you run the ball, too. How was your rushing stats there at Jacksonville?
I had my senior year where I had 650-something yards. I ran with Tyrone Currents.
Right.
Tyrone was the main guy.
So Tyrone was the year they won state championship, Tyrone was the go-to back.
Yes.
Now, earlier than that, before you played with Eddie, too, didn't you?
Yes, Eddie Costa.
So you were, I guess, a sophomore when Eddie was a
Yes.
senior? Yeah. Now, Eddie, of course, was legendary for some
Yeah.
of his games. I remember hearing some of the stories about, and I've heard too many people say it's true to not be true, that there was one game where Coach Durham running every play except one. And I'm wondering what that play was.
Being a sophomore as I was, and he's a senior, I kind of looked up to him. Yeah. So basically, I was excited because he was running the ball so much. But as far as keeping his stats and things like that,
And what was he like to tackle?
Volkswagen dump truck.
Now, we're still talking high school days. We're going to shift gears here in a minute to your career at East Carolina. But in high school, who was probably the toughest one you had to tackle? The baddest motor scooter out there when you were in high school?
Probably Eddie in practice.
Was Eddie in practice? That could be your own teammate.
we never hit in practice.
Really?
No, we never went against each other in practice.
Yes.
You
Saved
never
it
had
for a
any
good
live
time.
contact in practice?
No.
They did, but it was more like a scout team.
Because I play offense and defense. I was starting.
So they
on
weren't
both
putting
sides.
the number one defense versus number one offense a whole lot. Every
No,
now and
right.
then just walk through, but not.
Because probably I think 5 of the guys that was on the starting defense was on the starting offense.
I got you.
So like he said, we run a dummy squad.
I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish the question. Who's the toughest running back you had to tackle?
In high
It doesn't have to be
school,
running back. Be a tight end. Be anybody.
in high school,
Anybody stand out? And of course, you guys in Southwest didn't play back then. That was back when before they started playing. They started playing in the early 2000s. But it was always that little rivalry between the two schools as far as like football programs going, wasn't it?
yeah.
Now your main rival was probably White Oak back then. Wasn't
It was White Oak.
Yeah.
Always White Oak.
Now, did you guys ever lose to White Oak when you were in high school?
No.
He says that like, are you serious? For a long time, White Oak had a long losing streak against Southwest. Jacksonville.
Yes.
And it was the first game of the year every year, wasn't it?
Yeah, always the first game.
Has White Oak ever beaten Jacksonville in football?
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
Okay.
It's been a couple times, but it's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was a game that broke the streak years ago, and I don't know if there's been many since.
Nah.
The only time I can think of, and the year I was thinking of, White Oak may have been down that year the way it didn't beat them, but Jacksonville in between, I forget who the coach was, and then when Coach Durham came back in '94.
Yes.
Right before he came back, they had a coach, and his name was Travis Connor, and he decided he was going to bring the Notre Dame box to Jacksonville High School. And I remember hearing all the stories about how nobody runs this offense anymore. And then it turned out there was a reason for that, because it's just not a real, you can't vary a whole lot off of it. It's
Well, what
just
I've learned
what it
about
is.
it was just a highfalutin single wing.
Yeah, a lot like
Okay.
it. Direct snap to whoever got the ball, right? Mm-hmm. And then they take off and go. I'm surprised Coach Paget at Southwest didn't adopt that, to be honest with you, the way he loved to run the ball. Now, of course, Coach Durham, you talk about somebody who loved to run the ball.
Yes.
He was famous for the quote. Coach Paget told it to us, but he got it from Coach Durham that on a pass play, there's 3 things can happen, and 2 of them are bad. So he liked to run the ball. And that's true when you think about it.
Well, sure, if it works, man, keep on doing it.
You can have a completion, an incompletion, or a
He
interception.
said on the show, about a month ago, he said he was going to keep running at you. You started backing up a little bit.
That's right. Now, looking at, let's jump forward to the Cardinals nowadays. You've kept up with them a little this year. You went to the game last week. Jacksonville's win over
Cape Fear Colts.
Cape Fear Colts, yeah. That was a tough, hard-fought game for the first little bit, and then Jacksonville kind of distanced himself. We were talking off the air. What do you think of the Cardinals this year?
there's some bright spots, and then there's some not so bright
Question
spots.
marks.
Yeah, me watching the game personally and thinking back when I played, situations where that running into the boundary just don't cut it with me.
Running in where?
To the short
outside,
side of the
yeah.
field.
Oh, okay.
When you got 40 acres over here, run the mule over there, let them get outside. But they run into the boundary. Coach Durham, he used to do it also.
Well, I guess they do that because they think the opposing coaches thinking the same thing. They ain't gonna run over here because they got so much room over here. So
Yeah.
maybe try to fool them.
But I mean, we was at the game, watching it and stuff, and I just couldn't believe the few times they, needed a yard and they ran into the boundary.
Yeah.
In fact, that's the first play that Burlington Williams did a couple of weeks ago. They run a trap play to the short side of the field. Yeah, the guy scored. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because you played all three levels. Obviously, you were a high school player, college player, and a pro player. The hash marks are different. Are they different between college and high school, or is it the same?
I never even paid no half.
Well, hey, if you were a kicker, you pay attention because a kicker. I saw a kick the other night. The kid only had the ball was on the 1, so that means it snapped to the 8, maybe the 9. So it's only like an 18 or 19-yard field goal. But man, it looked like a right angle he had to kick it through because the hash marks are so much farther. So if you run a play, say to the outside on the right side, they put it on the hash mark.
Yeah.
Well, in the NFL, it's real close. I mean, it's still in the middle of the field.
Ellis was only looking at two things. Where's the football and that long line at the end of the field, that crossbar sitting up there?
How do I attack the football?
How do I get it down there?
But
That's
you know
right.
what I'm talking about. You've seen kickers have to make the
Yeah.
kicks where you almost have to kick it left.
Yeah,
to
for
go
it to
through
come
or
back,
right. Yeah. I often wonder why college and high school didn't adopt the NFL one where the hash marks more, where you have all the players starting in the middle of the field. Because it could be a big difference if you're starting way on the left or way on the right. Because like you talked about, that short side, is why run there when you got all that green
Well,
space?
I don't know why they got hash marks anyway.
You think it's just put at the center of the field?
Let them play, yeah. I mean, I guess it's
That's
probably to help
interesting.
keep up where the ball's located and everything, along with the chain gang. And I got to give a little props to. I got to make sure I say this right. I got his name mixed up last week. We got to thank Victor Case and Bart Jones. Miss Bart Jones, my apologies for I got the wrong Jones mixed up
You
on the
call him
chain.
Burt Jones,
Call
did
him
you?
Burt, yeah. And then
Burt was a
she
famous
got-
quarterback back in the
Yeah, she got it said, but
Played for the Colts.
Bart Jones, those guys do an outstanding job with the change, keeping up with with the football where it is on the field.
I didn't know Victor was on the chain crew there.
Oh yeah,
Wow. He's been there a while. Hasn't he?
yeah.
He's always up there. Every time I go, he's there.
Even when you played? You
No,
weren't there
ever
that
since
long
I've
ago.
been home.
Okay.
No, just since I've been home playing.
Now, how many Cardinal games have you made this year?
Maybe like 3. Sometimes if they out of town, I don't go.
Well, I'm a booster president at our high school, so out of town games are my favorite ones because I don't have to do nothing. I go actually watch the game. Jetting back to your high school career, when you guys were sophomores, you played for state championship also, right?
Yes.
And that one was at Greensboro, correct?
Yes.
Or was
no,
it home?
no.
No, it was here.
So it was home.
He was here. Yes.
When Greg
Still
Cooper got hurt.
Still
Yeah.
Greensboro Page, though.
Yes.
And then your freshman year, how deep did y'all get that first year? Do you remember? It was maybe second or third round, I think, if I remember Coach Durham talking right. So then your sophomore year, you go all the way to state championship game. And that was back when they played it at either the East or the West. So, man, you had back then, I don't know if you remember hearing about Swain County. They were smaller. They were like a 1A or 2A school. They were a real dominant team then. So you might have a team from, say, if Southwest went to the 1A state championship, they'd have to go slam to the mountains to play that game. That's a tough, ain't it?
Yeah.
Especially
You guys
with
had
10
Greensboro
degrees
come.
outside.
You're right. You guys had Greensboro come twice, right? Mm-hmm. So your sophomore and senior year, make sure I get this right in my head, it was the same team.
Yes.
You played. Now, what about your junior year? What y'all do that year?
I think we lost that year. I'm not sure.
Second round, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back to your sophomore year, Coach Durham was on here a couple weeks ago, and I loved it. He doesn't say Cooper like I do. He says Cooper, Cooper, or he calls it Cooper. Was your quarterback?
Yeah, great.
And he told the story about how right before the half, he decides he wants to bite off a chunk if he can, take a shot at a Hail Mary, whatever throw it to the end zone, and Greg Cooper gets hurt. breaks his collarbone, wasn't it? Or
Shoulder, same thing.
Yeah. So that just totally changed that whole game, didn't it?
Yeah.
He said, now you can talk from the player's perspective, because he said while he was talking to the players, all the players were worried about was looking over there at the doctor to see how Greg Cooper was. And when that doctor finally looked at him and shook his head, he said it was just like the wind come out, because y'all knew that that's your quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, and I was a young one, young player too. So everybody looked up to him being the quarterback, the leader.
Right.
Yeah.
Besides, Eddie and Lavelle and all the other guys and stuff. And when he got hurt, it was like a blow to everybody.
Yeah, then you come out in the second half, the first play on the kickoff after you're penalized because of the delay of game because your team couldn't get through the field. Man goes all the way for a touchdown. So the wind really went out of themselves.
I forgot about that. You're right. Coach Durham was telling us that story about how so many people there, one of the most attended games in Onslow County history, y'all couldn't get on the field. So you had to go around the other way and come around. By the time you got on, there's the flag for delay of game, and it's not your fault because all the people are in the way. So that kind of was just a bad start to the second half, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Now, your senior year, you guys go back to the ship. Luckily, it's because of the 2-year gap, you didn't have to go out west and play. So Paige came back here again. Now, who was your quarterback your senior year?
Ron Golden.
Ron Golden. And you talked about Tyrone Currents was the big running back on that team. Who were some others? Obviously, you were a stud on that team. Were you more defensive at that time? You did run the ball some.
Yeah,
but had you shifted more defensive at that point?
Nah, actually, I was kind of 50-50.
About 50-50?
Yeah, I never came off the field. I used to didn't come off the field, but the late Coach Gid Johnson took me off punt returns because I fumbled the ball, and he replaced me with Maurice Monk.
Were you the punt returner?
Yeah,
at one time.
Yeah, so we had some good guys. The offensive line, Billy Brown and all of them. Forrest. We had my cousin Henry Williams, Reggie Whaley,
Henry Williams. I forgot about Henry. Of course, you had Bruce Simpson on that team too.
Bruce is on the squad.
I want to talk a little bit more about that state championship team when we come back, and then we're going to jump into your college career. But we do need to take a quick break, so we'll be right back on Sports Talk with Ellis Dillahunt. Hey, welcome back to Sports Talk. I'm your host, Chris Rainer. Friday, December 6th, not even the first day of winter. It's already cold. It's going to be a cold winter, I think. I think we're going to get one of those snowstorms this year, Ashley, where Ashley Moseley, our co-host and resident meteorologist.
Right.
You remember our biggest snows are when you get that little nor'easter coming up the coast and the cold air's in place? I feel one of them this year. We had one in a while.
You know, we didn't have any snow at all last year.
No. I had a little snow at the house Tuesday
I
morning.
heard about that.
Just a little flake or two. They call me the king of the flakes.
You get a flake. I got you.
Ellis Dillahunt, our guest today. Thank you, Ellis, for being with us. We were just getting towards the state championship game before we left. Tell us some other studs. Obviously, Bruce Simpson was a big defensive guy on the team. You and Tyron Currents on the offensive side. Obviously, you on the defensive side. Who's some others you like to mention from that team that you remember being?
If I don't want to try to leave out nobody.
I understand
But I would
that.
just say, the whole team itself, offensively and defensively, there was like my Henry Williams, Reggie Whaley, they played both sides. Ron Golden, he got the name of the thief. I hope you out here, Ron, listening.
So not only was he
Yeah.
quarterback, he liked to intercept the ball. wasn't he?
Well, some of the balls are thrown right to him. I mean, you playing 30 yards deep, you bound to catch a ball back there somewhere.
We were talking about that before with a different guest. Do you feel like him being quarterback on his side of the ball helped him as defensive back? Knowing the way a quarterback thinks and the way a quarterback looks, because there's some quarterbacks can stare down a receiver, and there's some that are good at looking them off and going to the other side. You know what I'm saying? It had to help him a little bit.
It probably did. I don't know what Ron's strategy was, but he had one interception every game, so he had like 11 interceptions for the year.
He probably just about led the state.
He probably did,
And that was 1982, the playing year, and you graduated in '83. You guys win the state championship. What was the final score? Do you remember? Was it within a touchdown still, or you guys kind of put it away there at
Well,
the
I
end?
scored the first touchdown. Tyrone scored the second one. I think it was like 15-9 or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't a high-scoring game, I remember.
No,
that.
it wasn't.
And at Jacksonville High School, just a pure T slobber knocker, wasn't it?
Yeah, man.
Now, was there as many people at the second one as there was at the first one, or more?
More.
More. So Coach Durham learned his lesson, though. He didn't wait to come out late with all that crowd. He probably had some Jacksonville police officers blocking the runway coming in the second time, didn't he?
Still, it was a lot of people.
Yeah, but he
You
swore
played the
that
same
probably
school?
wouldn't
Did you
happen.
play
Yes.
in the 80s, same school? Yeah, we all probably played with a little chip on his shoulder.
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
they? Yeah.
The speech Coach Durham made right before we went out on the field, he said in 1982 or 1981, 80, whatever, he said, we knocked on the door and they wouldn't let us in. He said, this year, we're going to kick the damn door down. That was his famous saying.
Y'all got up, run through the brick wall, and went out there and played it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he was a motivator. Now that is so key for a high school coach, not just to have the knowledge, but to know how to apply it and get those kids to buy into it and to get them kids to follow you and play. If you can't get a kid to play for you, you're just barking up the wrong tree, ain't you?
Oh, man, he got the whole team, even what we used to call the bench warmers, clean uniform guys,
Clean uniform.
They
Clipboard
never
toter.
play. Those guys.
He got them fired up.
Yes.
Now what was the name of the coach again?
Coach Durham.
Durham, Ray Durham.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I thought you said Ray. Oh, yeah.
Now, you had a great coach there at Jacksonville, obviously. So you get some chance for some. I don't know if we've ever told this story on the air before. I don't remember talking about it before, but you had a chance to play in a couple of All-Star games. You played in the Shrine Bowl, which is us against South Carolina, right?
Yes.
Did you guys win that game, North Carolina?
No, I think so.
South
I'm
Carolina.
not sure. It was so long ago.
They're tough, man, in that
yeah.
game. It seems like they always are tough in that game.
I left the night. The game was Friday night. I left Saturday morning, going to South Carolina for the Shrine Bowl.
So the state championship game, and you
Yes.
went Saturday morning. Wow. Did you get to play a whole lot in the game, or?
Well, they alternate down there. They alternate. They get that we still playing the same position. They get plays.
Kind of alternate,
Yeah.
equal playing time.
Play this series. He played that series. You go back and play a series.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to share another story about Coach Ray Durham that Coach Chuck Martin talked about getting the team fired up and everything. When Coach Durham was at Hoggard, I think he said it was his second year, and they had the opportunity to go to Wilson, play Wilson Fight with a running back named Carl Lester Crumpler. Well, at the end of the first half, it was something, I don't know, 40-something to nothing at the end of the first half. And So Coach Durham goes back to the field house, getting ready for the second half, and he tells the team, he said, "Okay, boys, I just spoke with the referees and everything, and I told them that, we were just going to undress, put our street clothes back on, and going back to Wellington." And he said he knew that some of them players were going to say, "No, Coach, we got him. We can win this ball game." So he got them fired up and went back in the second half. So I think that's just a funny story.
Oh yeah, and he is a classic motivator, buddy. You just tell
He
by
sure
talking
is.
with
Oh,
him that they'll follow him to the end of the earth.
Yeah, man.
He said when he started coaching, when somebody would come by and want their son to play football and everything, he said somebody would come out, drop a 14-year-old off and say, "Now make a man out of him."
He probably preferred it. They had a little man in them right to start with.
Probably.
Now, but back to the All-Star games, you end up doing the East-West Bowl too. Now, the Shrine Bowl was one week, was East-West the next week?
No, the Shrine Bowl was down in December. Actually, I forget when it was. The East-West was in June, July.
That's right. It comes in the summertime, which
Yeah.
is really weird because, man, you're committed to East Carolina, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden you go play in this. I would think the college coaches would raise Cain about that because you guys are ready to go play, and then what if somebody got injured in that game?
Like he did.
Like you did. Tell us about that story.
Okay. So, like I said, Tyrone had some issues, off the field, and they invited me to go. Coach Durham was somewhat against it because he knew I had a full scholarship at East Carolina. So we didn't want to jeopardize that at all. So, make a long story short, I was returning a punt, which I told you earlier that Coach Johnson snatched me from returning punts because I kept dropping the ball.
You dropped this one too, didn't you?
Yeah, and I dropped it, and unfortunately somebody dropped the ball on me.
So you're kind of looking up, and that's when it happens.
Yeah, and that's the last thing I seen.
Yeah, that's tough.
And of course, he knocked me out.
Cost you a year, didn't it?
Yeah, well, I stayed out for one semester.
Oh, okay.
I went to East Carolina in January of '84. But the good thing that came out of that, Coach Emery, and bless his soul.
Ed Emery,
the nicest person you ever want to meet besides Coach Durham. He called my mom and told my mom that they were keeping my scholarship.
How about that?
They was not giving it away. And that motivated me. I couldn't really do too much, with the two cracked vertebrae. So I just had to wait for them to heal up. I got to East Carolina. They took care of me. If you can go back and look at the picture that they put on the news and stuff like that, and you see how big my neck was, that's all they concentrated on. My first.
Well, strengthening that weak part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they did that.
Or not the weak part, but the injured part.
Yeah.
Did you stay in Belk Dorm?
Yes.
Now you when you go to East Carolina, was there any red shirt at all back then? Did they call it that? So were you red shirted the first year?
No.
I medical red shirt or anything?
I played all the way through.
So you started playing right away. Were you a starter right out of the gate, or
I started my once I put a few pounds on the muscle and stuff. I started my sophomore year. There was a guy in front of me by the name of Bernard Wynn. He was a fifth-year senior, and I had to set him down.
You did.
Yeah.
Had to sit him down.
I had to take his position.
What was your playing weight at East Carolina? How much did you weigh?
192,
And you what about 5'10",
5'11"?
5'11"?
did you put on any weight or bulk up once you got there?
Because
Because they get you lifting again.
Yeah, not really.
And the food there ain't terrible, is it?
It ain't all great either.
So it weren't steaks and lobster every night.
Only time you would get that is like we had a big recruitment thing.
Yeah.
They would go out of their way.
They wanted to shine for them new guys coming. So
But
try and
there's
put the
no
luster on.
there's no downtown like downtown Greenville is.
No.
Now, you were telling us that the elbow down there was a good recruiting tool, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the
Guys
best.
would
That's
go
the best
to
tool we
Elbow,
had.
yeah.
See all them, all the nightlife and all the lovely sights of Greenville, if you know what I mean. And then they want to come to Greenville. So
Sure.
you're there 4 years. You were there a total of 4, right? You didn't leave early or anything. I didn't know if after the third when you got drafted. Now, was that rule even in place back then? After 3 years, you can go on, or was it everybody's pretty much stayed 4 back then?
Yeah, everybody pretty much stayed.
Because now the NFL, you got to be out of high school 3 years.
Yeah, East
whether
Carolina,
college or
you do
whatever.
4 years, and they give you an extra year if you got hurt.
Yeah.
And plus
Like a
they
red
had
shirt.
the red shirt thing going on, but they didn't red shirt many guys.
Yeah, I don't think they used the red shirt back then like they do now. Now, you may red shirt a guy, and all you're doing is holding for another team because he enters that transfer portal. And now, let's talk about your freshman year at East Carolina. What'd you guys do that? Now, was Coach Emery your coach all 4 years?
No,
Okay, which years was he the coach?
first 2,
And then you got another
84, 85, and I think Art came in 86.
Okay. Well, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna talk more about your college career.
All right.
So we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to Sports Talk. I'm your host, Chris Rainer. It's Hurricane Watch time. Some bad times up in Raleigh. We got both our goaltenders hurt, Ashley.
Well,
You remember the names? See if you can scrub off them 2 names. One of them is the easy one.
Well, both of them are real easy. One named
Frederick
Smith.
Anderson's the easy one.
No, one named Smith, another named Jones. Those are unusual names.
Frederick Anderson's the easy one. Piotr Kochekov.
I told you they need to get the man to come out of the stands 2 or 3 years ago.
No, he was a one-time wonder. I mean, that was just a miracle thing to happen, and that's hard to duplicate.
Well, they don't have 2 goalies now.
Well, they got the 2 backups, some dude named Martin and another guy, and hopefully the other 2 will be back soon. Kochekov was doing really good before he went out. He got whopped on the tater. Somebody run over him in the goal, and he's in concussion
hurt in the
protocol.
goal?
When that knee comes by the side of your head,
Oh, okay.
he was leaning over trying to get the puck.
I got you.
And one of his own players actually hit him on the side of the head, and he was out. He was down for the count. So he's in concussion protocol. Hopefully we'll get him back soon because we need him. 2 games against the Florida Panthers. Canes lost 6-3 at home and 6-0 in Florida. Just got whitewashed. Then just past Tuesday night against the Kraken. That's the new Seattle team. They call them the Kraken. I think they're named after that rum.
Well, see, you put the black hat on them last week when you talked about how successful they
I
were.
put the Maloik on them.
Yeah, how good
You're
they
right, because they had won 2 in a row in that game. The first game that I was talking about was that Friday night. You're
were. And
right.
they beat up all the Southern teams, and, you got to
Yeah.
talk about that. Now it's turned
Well,
around.
they're still losing to the Southern teams. Florida's Southern.
Yeah.
Seattle's out west. They're still doing good against the Northeastern teams. And I hope that bodes well because tomorrow night they go play the New York Islanders. And I hope they end up whooping them and get that streak going back the other way. Because when I go to
Hopefully.
games, I want to see them win.
I know you do.
All I want to do is win, 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 no matter what.
Yeah.
That'd make a good song, wouldn't it? So, thank you to Downey's Heating and Air Conditioning, Jason Humphrey and the gang for sponsoring our Hurricane Watch. I think they're going to be a lot better. The bottom line is the hockey season's so long, get in the playoffs and just get hot at the right time. Even in the NFL lately, it's not the team that's the best one per se, or in Major League Baseball, it's the team that gets hot at playoff time.
It's just like Jay's Rose in the Eastern Finals.
And we're going to talk about that coming up about
Okay.
the local, this current high school playoffs. It's amazing how the teams from the stronger conferences tend to weed out, and
Yep.
the other ones get gone, and those teams stick around. We got a few minutes on this segment before we go. Let's talk a little bit about your high school career. Of course, Coach Ed Emery. Who was your second coach?
I think Art Baker.
Art Baker, yeah. The last 2 years. Now, out of the two, was Coach Emery your favorite?
Yes.
Yeah. He was one recruited you, obviously. And he was just a good dude, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was nice.
Ed, Ed do things that normal coaches probably would. I know Coach Durham probably would, but you can go to Ed's house and it'll be open for you. If you
You're welcome at any time.
yeah,
Yeah.
point blank.
Probably don't see that a whole lot nowadays. It's just it's just a different breed of players now. You got players that aren't as committed to the school as you guys were. They're hired guns nowadays. We're gonna talk about that later too. But your first 2 years under Coach Emery, were you on the team that went to Florida and lost to the 3 Florida teams?
I was laying on my couch watching Henry Williams flip in the end zone.
Was that the year before you got there then?
That was the year I was supposed to be there.
Right, before
Yeah.
you actually started playing.
I thought they beat all the Florida teams.
No, we lost
That's the only losses they had.
47-46 to Florida State. The Miami game, after Testaverde, I just want to choke him. But it's a different story.
And then Florida.
And then Florida.
They ended up like 7-3, but only losses were to those 3 Florida teams, and they're all close games. Y'all were playing the best in the country, or the team was.
Yeah.
East Carolina was.
We had
and just couldn't punch
the
it
third
through.
toughest schedule.
And you made the top 10 in rankings, I believe, or the top 20 anyway that
In
year.
top
Yeah.
20, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you remember the sportscaster's name, but there was a sportscaster named Dick Jones
Yeah, I
from
remember him.
Channel 7.
Yeah.
And he was calling the game because that game was on, one of the games was on Channel 7. I think it was the Miami game. There was one where late in the game, it was 4th and goal at the 1. And if East Carolina scores, they win the game. Well, they didn't score. It got stopped. And Dick Jones got confused. He said, well, folks, somewhere in the pile there was been a fumble because Florida State's got the ball. And it was 4th and goal. He just kind of lost track of what it was going. He didn't do a lot of play-by-play. He was more or less just the sportscaster. That was back before you had every single game on TV. Now, if East Carolina's playing, you can usually find them somewhere now.
Yeah. I've been finding
Remember the
them.
days where every game weren't on TV? Mm-hmm. You just had the main ones on the weekends. Then ESPN comes along.
Well, Chris, you got to
see
remember something.
everything.
When you were watching TV back then, they only had 3 or 4 channels.
Yep.
So
I understand that. Back in you had that little stone tablet you had to turn
That's
the TVs
exactly
on.
right, yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you one thing.
the
and-
remote was the pair of
And I've
boomerang
said this
slippers. You had to get
before on the
walk back
show,
there
and if
off
you've
it.
heard it before and don't like it, I'm sorry for repeating it. But I remember back in the day when Monday Night Football come on, I could go in there, I could pull the button, turn to channel 12, and there was Monday Night Football.
Yeah. So it's
that
simple.
easy.
Yeah.
Now Thursday Night Football, I got to go find remote A, remote B.
Yeah, get some
I
more
got
of
to
that
get
stuff.
the
We need
input.
some more of this stuff going on.
I got to
That's
get on the
what we
right
need.
HDMI. I got to go to Amazon Prime and hopefully I remember my password.
Right.
And TV's got more complicated instead of more simpler.
It sure has.
All right. Well, speaking of simple, that's what that red light's for, to keep my simple mind on track. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with our last segment. We're going to finish up your career and talk a little more about the
High school football.
current high school football. We'll be right back.
He'll do the
All right, welcome back. Sports Talk here. I'm Chris Rainer, your host. Ashley Moseley, co-host. Honored guest, Ellis Dillahunt. Is this your second or third time on the show?
Second.
Second time. So you never did it with Coach Padgett on the show before, were you?
No.
Okay, so if you're on more than 2 times, you're a co-host. You're officially a co-host. So you're welcome to come back and co-host anytime. We're gonna do this day in sports. All this stuff happened on December 6th. The date of December 6th at some time or another. Ellis, I'll get you to start us off in 1925.
1925 record, 73,000 paid to watch Chicago Bears beat New York Giants 19-7.
Wow. That was a long time ago. All right, Mr. Mosley.
And it wasn't on pay-per-view either. That's a big gate
It
money
probably went
right
on
there.
no TV then.
Right. All right, 1956, against the background of the Soviet invasion of Hungary, the nations, Hungary and the Soviet Union, square off at the Melbourne Olympics in a famous water polo match. The game was called off with Hungary leading 4-0 and a near riot halted by police. Hungary goes on to win the gold medal.
So that would probably be the equivalent of the Soviet Union and the Ukraine playing right now.
Hungary
I don't
lost
even think
the
they
war.
call it the Soviet Union. Russia.
They lost the
and
war,
Ukraine.
but they won the gold medal. But
Yeah. But if Russia and Ukraine were to play something right now, they'd probably be some tensions there too, I would think. All right, in 1956, Australian women's 4x100 meter freestyle relay team of Dawn Fraser, Faith Leach, Sandra Morgan, and Lorraine Crabb. Bless her heart. Go through the life with the name of Mrs. Crabb.
It's pronounced crop.
Are you sure?
No.
Okay, Lorraine Crop. They swim a world record of, what do you reckon that is? 4 minutes, 17.1 seconds, and they beat the powerful U.S. team to win the gold medal at the Melbourne Olympics in Down Under. All right, you got the next one.
All right,
Ellis.
1957, Gardner Malloy becomes the oldest American to win a Davis Cup tennis match at the age of 44. 14 days teams with Vic. Give me a
Okay, I lied. There's that one name. There's that one name we forgot about.
to give U.S. a match clinching 3 over the Philippines in the inner zone first round of Adelaide, Australia.
More stuff in Australia.
All right. 1960, Major League Baseball American League grants American entertainer and businessman Gene Autry a franchise, the Los Angeles Angels.
I never knew that Gene Autry owned the Angels.
You did?
No, he sang Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer too.
He was a cowboy.
Singing cowboy. Yeah. I knew Gene Autry was. A little before my time, I know he was. In 1961, the 27th Heisman Trophy Award, Ernie Davis, Syracuse running back, first African-American to win. We were talking with Coach Durham, and he named Ernie Davis as one of his all-time great, athletes that, kind of did a lot of other
He
sports.
passed away when he was 21 years old.
Yeah, well,
Cancer.
was it cancer that early? That's tough. All right, Ellis.
All right, 1969, Oscar Brown Jr.'s musical Buck White started Muhammad Ali, closes at George Abbott Theater in New York City after 7 performances.
And once again, I never knew there was a Muhammad Ali musical.
He started it.
What do you do? Sit there and fight each other? Let's see. It's you, Ash.
1970, the Cleveland Cavaliers get their first NBA home victory, beating Buffalo Braves 108-106.
In 1973, the NL votes to move the San Diego Padres to Washington, D.C., but it didn't happen. You know why? Because nobody wants to go to Washington, D.C.
You're right.
All right, 1981, Senior PGA Championship. Turnberry Isle, CC, Miller Barber wins his first of 5 champions tour major titles by 2 strokes from Arnold Palmer.
Arnold Palmer, he was a good one now. Back to the thing about moving to Washington, D.C., when the Redskins' name got changed. You played for
Washington
the Redskins,
Football
too,
Club.
didn't you? There was a thing I saw on Facebook. One of the funniest things I saw, it said, we're going to change the name. It's offensive, Washington Redskins, so they're going to be the capital of the United States Redskins. Because a lot of people think Washington's so offensive.
Yeah, right. It
Sorry.
is, isn't it?
I couldn't resist that.
All right, where are we at? 1988, Agnes Neil Williams. Now, I don't know whether that's a guy or a lady. Agnes is the first name.
I would
Agnes
guess it's a
Neil
lady.
Williams purchases the Baltimore Orioles for $70 million. Eli Jacobs becomes the CEO of the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Agnes Neal was a man or a woman.
I don't me either.
Who knows? Nowadays, who knows?
Well, my name,
won't
Ashley.
No,
I
no,
mean,
no. I ain't
you know,
gonna start
I've
on
been mistaken as I got a letter when I was 18 years old from the Department of the Army. It was addressed to Miss Ashley Moseley. So I'm glad they got that mixed
When
up.
you went for that physical, that was a surprise, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All right, in 1992, San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Jerry Rice. By the way, I never have got on you about telling me that guy was Jerry Rice at that oyster roast. That wasn't
Did you
Jerry
see him?
Rice. It was not Jerry Rice.
It looked just like it, though, didn't it?
You get a few beers in me and you tell me it's Jerry Rice. Next thing I know, I'm trying to get him on the show.
You asked him for his
He
autograph.
did look a lot like him, though. That was 3 years ago. That finally just popped in my head, and I need to chastise you about that.
I got you.
All right. Wide receiver Jerry Rice catches NFL record 101st touchdown in a 27-3 win over the Miami Dolphins at Candlestick Park.
1992, San Francisco Giants signed record 43 million USD pact with Pirates baseball player outfielder Barry Bonds.
Wow, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money now, especially back then.
All right. 2018, Tennessee Titans running back Derrick Henry. How would you like to run up on him, Ellis? Exposed for a franchise record 238 yards and 4 touchdowns in a 30-9 win versus the Jacksonville Jaguars in Nashville. 99-yard TD run ties Dallas Cowboys Hall of Fame running back Tony Dorsett's longest run in NFL history.
I remember watching that on Monday Night Football back when we only had 3 channels. The Cowboys backed up to the 1-yard line, and
I saw
Dorsett
it.
broke that 99-yard touchdown. I remember Derrick Henry's. I'm sure I probably saw it, but just they don't pop in my head like the Tony Dorsett one does.
I mean, you know, that Baltimore Ravens are so talented with that quarterback and Derrick Henry.
Yeah. You're talking about now.
Yes.
And they're struggling.
I know Philadelphia
Yeah.
just beat them.
Yeah. All right, Ellis, we're going to jump back on your college career. Before we do, we already talked about high school, some of the toughest ones. Who was in college? Who was the toughest one to tackle, or the one you tried to tackle that may have
Now
hurt
listen
your
to this.
feelings?
Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson. So he was at Auburn.
Yes.
I knew guys played Auburn then.
Man, we played all the tough teams.
Really?
Man, you know.
How did you fare against Auburn? Was it ugly?
Yeah, it got ugly.
Well, they had a really talented team when he was on there then. What were you standing on the train tracks and the train came through?
Yeah, something like that.
But you did tackle him, didn't you?
Yes, I
Brought
made
it
the
down.
tackle.
That's good. All right, in the NFL, who's the toughest one? Not that ever made it to the NFL, but that you played against. But one while you were in the NFL, what was your toughest hombre you came up on?
With what team did you play for, Ellis? NFL.
The Bengals, obviously, and the Redskins. Who was your other team you were with?
I left Bengals, went to the Redskins. I tried in Cleveland, Kansas City. In Kansas City, I went to the World League,
Okay.
and I broke my leg over there.
Okay. Well, while you were playing the NFL, who was your toughest tackle, or the one that kind of?
Well, I was basically a special team, so
Were you?
yeah.
Mostly. Mm-hmm. So, did you ever have to punt the ball to Dion or anything like that?
Nah.
Were you in the league when Barry Sanders was playing? Mm-hmm. Vaughn Johnson from Mohegan City played the state, all pro down at with the New Orleans Saints linebacker. I asked him one time who the toughest running back in the NFL he ever tried to tackle. He said it was Barry Sanders. He said you couldn't get a clean hit on him.
Yeah. He was a jitterbug now. He could be coming at you and all of a sudden gone the other way.
Yeah.
The thing is, he played on such bad teams in Detroit and was still, getting all the yards he got and everything pretty much on his own.
That's what Brian North said about it. He was such a good running back because he was running for his life all the time.
Yeah, that's true. Can you imagine him if you could take Barry Sanders back then and put on this Lions team they got this year? Woo! He'd actually have a little blocking in front of him.
Yes, he would.
That'd be dangerous. Now, finishing up your college career, did you guys go to any bowl games those 4 years or anything?
No, we didn't.
It was kind of tough with the transition from Emory to Art Baker, wasn't it? Just things with new coach, it takes a little while for him to get his swerve on, don't it?
Yeah, I mean, Art came from the Citadel, so he had a different approach.
It was tough, boy.
Yeah,
Was he like having a general as your coach?
yeah, something like
A lot
that.
like that. Now, you finish up your career with East Carolina. You were actually drafted, right?
Yes.
I mean, you didn't have to go through free agency. What round did the Bengals take you in?
And 10th round.
10th round. You go to Cincinnati. You said most of you played special teams there, but you have a distinction that I don't know of anybody else I've met that's been in one, but you in a Super Bowl, weren't you? Mm-hmm. That was an awesome season you guys had. Who was your quarterback back then?
Oh, Mr. Boomer.
Boomer Esiason.
Yeah.
And the Bengals had that magical run. They go through the AFC. Kind of walk us through the playoffs. Do you remember who you guys played? I'm sure remember the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
But who was it you played first round? Do you remember?
I think Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Wow. Playing, and that's another question, too. You being from Cincinnati, did y'all hate Pittsburgh?
They hated us.
And they hated y'all. The black and blue division, they call it. Even though there's two teams with orange in it, I mean, you got, right now, I think it's Cincinnati, Cleveland, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh, right? Now, when you were there, it was a little different.
Yeah.
It was Cincinnati, Cleveland still in Pittsburgh. Who else was in it then? Was it Houston?
I think Buffalo, because we played Buffalo for the right to go to the Super Bowl.
Did you? So you played them in the AFC Championship game that
Yeah.
year. See, now Buffalo was AFC East back then.
Yeah.
They were with Miami and New England and all them. So who was Buffalo's quarterback then? Do you remember? I'm trying to remember. I can't come up with
That
it.
wasn't Kelly.
It may have been Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly.
That's
Might
about
have been.
that time. It might have been.
Yeah.
Because he was there for a long time. Now, he's one of those that went to the USFL and spent a few years there, kind of took from his career while he was there. Was the USFL going on when you were playing?
Yes.
Okay.
That's where Herschel Walker came out of. He came out of USFL.
Well, he's famous for a lot of things. Obviously, won a national title at Georgia. The year y'all were
Heisman Trophy winner.
playing in high school, he won the Heisman Trophy and a national title. He is probably most famous for his pro career, though, for being the one that led Dallas to all them Super Bowls
Yeah.
by getting traded.
The 7 players. They gave up 7 players.
Yeah,
to
it's
get
like the trade that the Carolina Panthers did to get Bryce Young. They traded, and I think Bryce Young is coming on and has potential to be a good NFL quarterback. I don't know if I'd have traded 6 draft picks for him, though.
No.
He's not that marquee of a quarterback to do 6 draft picks. Some of the players you did play against, give us some of the ones that are the all-time greats that you remember playing against in pro.
Like I said, I played most of the special teams. I remember a guy that played for Buffalo. I had a talk with him, Andre Reed.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, he was a receiver, but
receiver.
didn't he also return punts and stuff for him?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's a lot bigger than people think.
Oh yeah, he was and that's why you thought he was a tight end because he was more of a tight end size, but had that wide receiver speed, wasn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. In your career, give us some. You got any stories or anything you want to tell about your NFL career? Some things that we might not know. Nothing.
No, I can tell you the story when I was at with Cincinnati, and they did this to all the rookies. So you
Little hazing?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not hazing. No, you're not gonna get by.
No, well, you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
what do they call it? Indoctrination type thing
Yeah.
or whatever.
So all the rookies had to get up at like 5 in the morning.
AM?
Yeah. Everybody gathered at the field house. And so our instructions were to go down to the market. Hope y'all catch on to this now. Go down to the market and sign your name up on the billboard, all right? And they're going to give you a turkey. And while you're down there getting the turkeys, pick up your game helmets. So we go down there, it's about 5 o'clock in the morning.
Did you really think you were going to get all this stuff?
Yeah.
Well, number
Okay.
one,
We
they
did.
won't even open at 5 o'clock
Yeah.
anymore. Really.
So we didn't get no turkeys, but you had to get your game helmet. And there was one person named, I think it was Carl or something. He was a walk-on that came from Vanderbilt. Came out of Vanderbilt. He was a walk-on. He was about the most intelligent one that figured it out. There is no game helmet. The helmet that you wear is your game helmet.
You were sent on like a snipe hunt, basically.
Yeah.
That thing don't exist.
So when we got back to the field house, they had done took the marker board and put it up with all these fool names up there that signed.
Well, look, you were scared not to because it was, you sort of like being hazed,
Yeah.
It's like a rookie prank, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was comical, man.
At least they didn't send you out to the ninth green to stand in the sprinklers like Happy Gilmore. It's a lot like the same thing,
Well,
you
you
know?
can pick on and talk about snipes all you want to, but I saw one day before yesterday.
Did you go on a snipe hunt?
No, he was run over on the side of the road.
Was he?
Yes, sir.
Did you get your
A
bag
real snipe.
and wait for him to run in the bag? You ever been on a snipe hunt before?
Well,
No comment.
I have.
You have.
Oh, yes.
Did you catch one?
Negative.
Or did you wait? How long did you wait before you realized he ain't coming?
30 minutes. Yeah. 30 minutes, man. And it was in the mountains of Virginia, so this guy was like,
bet it was cold.
Oh, and they were convincing these guys of the family, like, hey, Chris, let's go up in the mountains here. Snipes, man, they're crazy. We're gonna catch one. Now, you just wait here, and we'll be back in a little bit to check on you. And I just waited and waited and waited. And I'm like, what's going on? I was about 10, so like 12, but it was very embarrassing.
And sometimes men folk can be brutal on the little jokes they play on each other.
Yeah, I was a kid, man. It was cool.
We'd be just like we're in 8th grade again.
Yeah.
Now, when you were at East Carolina, who was probably the most prominent player you played with at East Carolina? I know you hate to leave somebody out, but just a couple of ones you played with that made it on, the bigger and better things, or had a great career.
I had one of my mentors. I don't know if y'all. I know you remember the name Clint Harris.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know. I don't know if y'all know.
Dirty Harry, wasn't he? No,
Harry.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Clint passed away about 3 months ago.
Did he?
Yeah.
Is he still local around here?
Nah, he was up in Chesapeake. That way.
Now,
I looked up to him. I wanted to be like him,
Now, didn't you live up in that area for a while? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You said you had been out of the area, 30-some years before you just came back 5 or 6 years ago, right?
Yeah,
7 years ago? Well, glad to have you back in the area. I know you love keeping up with Cardinal football a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm Cardinal and ECU. I'm still and plus
Do you go to many East Carolina football games?
Yeah, we used to go to homecoming and then the Letterman Day. I missed it this year. But last year it was the homecoming thing, and both of them was at the same time.
You get together with Dakota?
Marshall.
Mm-hmm. Up there at his place. Well,
Yeah.
good.
He's got a good tailgate spot, don't he?
Yeah,
Right outside the front door. And I do love the way East Carolina does their tailgating. Other places, you just got to find a little section here or there, or jam between cars. They give you a section behind your car to have room to tailgate. It's cool. Like a little place just for the tables and stuff. Let's jump to the high school football playoffs this year. Cardinals, do you think they've already exceeded what some people thought they would do? They're in the third round. Is it third round?
Fourth round.
Fourth round, yeah. Because this year they've added that extra round. So they're in the fourth round, which means they're the final four in the East. The dreaded Havelock Rams are sitting there waiting for them at Havelock.
I think the game Friday night, I think that was their test.
This past Friday night?
Yeah, and I Cape Fear. But I had a friend of mine met me there. I haven't seen in about 30 years. Named Tony Smith. He played for East Carolina too.
He was running back, wasn't he?
Yeah, wide receiver.
Wide receiver.
You think about Tony Baker.
Yeah, that's
He
right.
was, yeah. But he was at the game, and they scored and they was bouncing back and forth. Despite the fumbles and everything, I still think Jacksonville can improve.
Yeah.
On a couple of things.
I think if they clean up those mistakes, they'll be tough.
Well, the team they played, Cape Fear, they were not what I would call a spread offense. They were sort of like old school. I mean, they threw the ball, they ran the ball, but they really didn't do a whole lot of things fancy. They played straight up defense. So I think you're right. I mean,
well, you guys were both at the game, obviously, right? I know you were there. You said you were at the game too. Did that quarterback for Cape Fear not look like, if you were coach, you might have tried to use his wheels a little bit more?
Yeah,
I'm surprised they didn't run him more.
I don't do with the yards per carry he was getting.
Yeah.
Like Ray Durham said,
Right.
I'm gonna run it till the wagon break down.
That's
I'm gonna
right.
run it and run it and run it.
That's right.
When we played Pine Forest in the championship and then the playoffs years ago, he just ran the ball.
Was that the Eastern Finals?
Yeah, I
Final
think.
Four? So, but that quarterback for Cape Fear, everything would dissipate, and then it was like you parted the Red Sea, and he was Moses. And man, those few plays he ran, I'm surprised. I would have gone back to it. I would have designed plays to, and I know everybody thinks they're a coach, but anyway, get him into open space, and he was tough when he started taking off.
Well,
But it's something they didn't come back to. So
let me ask the both of you a question.
All right.
Now, when I kind of got my own answer, but I just need other people's opinion. Now, when that quarterback drops back, is the coach telling him he has the option of handing it off or take off running with it?
I think it depends on the player. When the Carolina Panthers had Cam Newton, I think at any time he had the green light to go when he wanted to. And he, of course, would run lead option. he would drop back. If everything parted, he would take off. The way the game has changed so much now is those RPOs. I don't know if they run them as much Jacksonville or other, but if you're not careful, I've seen it a bunch of times. You probably have too. From a defensive standpoint, you know what I'm talking about. You got linemen that think it's a run play, and all of a sudden the quarterback does that pass option out of it. Next thing you know, you got a lineman 2 yards downfield run blocking, and it's illegal man downfield. It happens a lot nowadays.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to face a guy tonight that he doesn't run it that much, but he can certainly throw it.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
But you know
Havelock's
what?
got a
Yeah,
stud.
in the first game, what they did late in the game, Jacksonville had a chance to win that football game. I think Jacksonville's got a better football team, but they got into pistol. Direct snap. Havelock did the last time they played Jacksonville over here. To control the clock and keep them off balance a little bit, but. Gonna have their hands full tonight. No question about that, buddy.
They're road warriors, man.
They are.
And I think they play better on the road. Sometimes you're more focused, I think, on the road.
And talking about a chip on your shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
I think they got a little
But it's
chip on their
Havelock.
shoulder because losing 21-14 early in the season to Havelock, knowing they got a better football team. That's just my opinion. Now, I will tell you this, Ellis. You play defensive back. Jacksonville's going to be in trouble if they don't shore up some of that defensive backfield play.
Some of them long passes could burn.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, number 8, he is outstanding.
That's the
defensive
kid
back.
that's committed to college somewhere, isn't he?
I don't know, he should be.
They
'cause
got
he's
2 or 3 that are committed.
Yeah.
I can say it on here because most people out there ain't listening anyway in that section. But the rumor has it they have quarterbacks from Newport. I mean, I'm sure he's moved to Craven County because last time I checked, Newport's in Carteret County.
Yeah.
But there was one guy that even called the Newport Rams at one time because
I hope they force him to run the ball tonight. I hope
Yeah.
they put a lot of pressure on him. That's going to come two things.
He's talented.
The defensive line and linebackers and the good coverage from the defensive back from Jacksonville.
Speaking of good coverage, and Hollywood, while he's scurrying to the mic so I don't put him right on the spot with this, speaking of good coverage, if you can't go to the game tonight, I know somewhere where you can get some good coverage of the game. Do you know anywhere, Hollywood?
Oh, let's see.
Let's tell us about it.
Maybe. Yeah, if you can't make it to the game tonight, you can listen right here to this radio station, which is Freedom 97.1. And wherever you may be, if you're on your couch, if you're on your phone, if you're in Chicago, wherever you may be, maybe a little bit colder in Chicago. WSME,
It's going to be cold in Havelock.
WSME971.com. And at 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff, of course, it is the 3A State High School Football Championships, a 4th round with Havelock, the Rams, and the Cardinals. And if you are going to go to the game, and we're going to be there, of course, the whole broadcast crew, Sunshine, of course, 4th overnight load at 9:24, 7 o'clock kickoff. The temps will be 36. It's going to feel like 28.
A balmy 36.
That's right. So bundle up, lots of layers, long johns, and that's it. That's your
Hollywood's
football report.
Hollywood's already bought some heated gloves.
Well, no, listen,
He's got an electric blanket.
somebody told me this, that they got those battery powered like the old fashioned electric blankets, you know.
It'll start raining in Hollywood.
Yeah,
just
but it's like a
electrocute
jacket.
himself.
But actually, my mother-in-law has some heated things you put in your gloves and stuff like that. And also they went to Alaska, so they got this Alaska jacket they're going to give me. I'm going to be prepared, man. I'm ready.
Are you gonna look like George Costanza with that big puffy jacket
Absolutely.
on? You're gonna be warm though, aren't you?
I haven't pushed the buttons, but I'll figure it out.
Talking about that setup they have there, they make you guys get outside. You've talked about that already.
Well-
so do you have the choice of doing it from the visitors bleachers?
Well, I will tell you this. I just
That'd be a great idea if we get on the bleacher side.
I just found out that we're going to be able to have the equipment inside the press box, and we'll be able to the crew will be able to broadcast from the little stoop there.
Yeah.
So
that's a
the
good
guy
thing.
running the equipment
That will be me. Yes.
that has the electric blanket, the big puffy jacket,
Yeah.
and is already warm gets to be inside.
I think so. We'll figure it out.
Hollywood.
Anyway, we're going to be able to broadcast from
Hollywood
near the press
gotta
box,
look
not on the
out for 'em.
stands. So
But the other ones will be right outside the press box.
That's right.
Stars say it'd be nice if they let you go on the visitor side, but there's probably no electrical hookups and all that.
Probably not. Well, it'll work out. We've been doing it over there like that for 10 years. The stoop's a little bit small, so there'll only be 2 people standing on the stoop. When I get through, I'm going down
You
to
got
my
the
regular
sidelines.
sideline duties.
You
and
go
everything.
hobnob.
What else going on in
See
high
if
school
they'll,
football?
hold on. See if they'll let you run an extension cord across the field. You can run it right down to 50.
You're right.
I think we'll
this
call
guy
about-
doesn't know when to stop. I'm just joking, man. I'm just joking. We love you.
Tell us what else is going on.
Well, we got some surprising teams. I think J.H. Rose from our conference, sort of the Cinderella story. They won 2 football games during the regular season, and they're playing 71st tonight in the 4th round of the Eastern Finals.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether to pick them or not. I mean, I picked against them every week against Northern Nash, Southern Nash, and that Southern Durham last week. So I really don't know. You got
Oh man.
James Keenan's going to Northeastern.
Yeah.
Kinston, a big surprise.
Yeah, and they're getting ready to play the
Whiteful.
the Wolfpack at Whiteville. That's a tough place to play.
And you got
They got Jumbo Vision down there.
you got Hogger taking on that private school. I forget.
Well,
you know.
yeah, I guess it is private school.
I don't know.
Cardinal Gibbons. I don't know
Cardinal
how that
Gibbons?
works because if they're private school, they'll be playing their own league. But it's like a, you know how it is. It's more like a prep type school.
Yeah.
But Cardinal Gibbons is the one right across from Lenovo Center.
Yeah.
So they're the ones that they lease space to the Wolfpack and to the Hurricanes. That's how they make their money is parking. Now looking at the whole Eastern bracket, now it's easy because you got 4 classifications, 1 through 4. Last year we're going to do that because you know next year we're going to 8 classifications.
8?
You've heard that, yeah?
No,
I don't know if you heard it or not.
Jacksonville will be 6A.
6A.
6A?
But it's going to 8, so that's basically like 3A, big 3A, you know.
Yeah.
So looking at the brackets are easy to do this week are our picks for their prognosticators expert picks. You got Pender at Tarboro, you already mentioned that one. Then you got Lakewood at Wilson Prep. The only thing I know about Wilson Prep is Kendrick Burney coached there for a little bit when he first left Southwest. I'm not sure if he's still up there or not. Lakewood at Wilson Prep. So Lakewood kind of a surprise winner from last week. They played last week. They played a team called at North Duplin. So they were at North Duplin, and North Duplin was higher seed, so Lakewood pulled off the upset to win that one.
I got you.
So that's the 2-1A in the East, and then the 2A in the East, you got James Keenan at Northeastern and Kinston at Whiteville. So you got 2 teams from the East Central Conference left.
Right.
And you can only have 2 left because James Keenan beat Wallace last week. So only one of them could advance, you know. And both of them formidable, daunting opponents.
They
Yeah,
sure do.
Northeastern's tough, man. By the time you get off the bus, you feel like you drove to the end of the world.
Well, I got to have a lot of prayer, and I got to see who my competition is picked, and make some
I'm
phone
gonna give you
calls.
a rundown here in a minute, so you know exactly where you stand. How about
I
that?
know. I'm looking at it. It's not too good.
And then shifting gears to 3A, you got Jacksonville at Havelock, of course. Same conference.
Yep.
You know, that's a tough conference. Then you got J.H. Rose at 71st. You got 3 of the final 4 in 3A from the
Eastern
same
Final,
conference.
yes, sir.
From the big Carolina Conference.
That's right.
And the 3A version of it because the 2 4A teams, you know, are already out.
Right.
Then in 4A, this is going to be less meaningful to anybody around here because they're not, well, only one of them's local. You got Wake Forest Rolesville, who's tough.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
probably the odds-on favorite to win it all.
pick 'em.
At Cleveland County, though.
No,
Or is it not Cleveland County? It's Cleveland.
Cleveland right outside.
Yeah.
It's up in Wake County,
Right, the one right outside
outside
of Raleigh, yeah, the
Right.
Cleveland High School. Then you got Hoggard, of course, is the closest one at Cardinal Gibbons. So you got all 3 of the schools right around Raleigh left in the East, and then you got Hoggard. So that's the brackets. And looking at what everybody's done here, let's start at the top this time. You got Jerry Allen and Bob Warlick tied at 87 and 20. Then next, Chris Miller had
You
a
mean
tough
the
week.
press box crew's tied?
Yeah, the voice of the Cardinals
The
and
voice
the
of the
color
Cardinals.
commentator of the Cardinals.
And our attorney, Bob
Yeah.
Ward, they tied. Okay.
So they know what they're doing. But they're all within range of getting caught now. You got Chris Miller next at 86 and 21. Then you got 84 and 23 that's Bob Warlick calling right now. He knows we're on the air. Then you got Brian North at 84 and 23. You got a whole gaggle at 82 and 25. You got Harry Brown, Steve Goodson, Ashley Moseley, and Dave Miller, and myself. I moved up a little.
That's something wrong. Well, how'd you move up?
Well, because Joey had a bad
Well,
week.
you-
Joey
you-
went 6 and 4.
You
me
picked
and him-
Southwest every game. Though.
Southwest ain't played in the last 3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Well, I say that like I'm happy about it, but I ain't. I remember many a year when, man, we were playing 5 home games, and can you imagine what that does to your booster club to have them home games? Then you got Joey at 81 and 26, and now even Joey has passed the last place guy who went 5 and 5 last week. Mike Irvin had a tough week, 5 and 5. He is 80 and 27, bringing up the rear. So Irvin, if you're listening, you better make
I'm
some
going to
good
go ahead and
picks.
start my research pretty quick. Ellis, who do you think is going to win between 71st and Greenville Rose?
Is that 71st?
At 71st?
And Greenville Rose won 2 ball games in the regular season, but they've won 3 in a row in the Eastern Final Championship. And they beat an undefeated team last week.
I'm going to go with 71st.
I think that's pretty. How about Kinston Whiteville? Whiteville's always tough. Kinston's been a big surprise this year. Good defensive coach.
Yeah, might surprise me. I take Kinston.
I got you. How about James Keenan Northeastern?
James Keenan. I didn't even know they had a football team.
Oh yeah,
That means
they
he's big
actually
Northeastern.
won 2 state championships back in the early 2000s.
Hoggard and Cardinal Gibbons in Raleigh.
I played against Hoggard for 3 years. So.
They always tough though.
Yeah.
How about Pender and Tarboro?
Tarboro, that's going to be a good game.
Yeah, Tarbo's
That-
really good this year, but
Tarboro
they're the
gonna beat
beast
them
that
30
is.
points. My opinion. Anybody else I missed? Like, who to leave out?
Lakewood at Wilson Prep, but we don't really know a whole lot about them. You may have already said them though.
Yeah, we have. I got to go with
James
Lakewood.
Keenan, Northeastern, Kinston, at Whiteville, Jackson, Havelock, Rose at 71st, and then the 4A probably other than
I got
Hogger, yeah, not local. So that's all. That's it. That's what's going on tonight. After tonight, there will be 4 games left in the East, and then on to the state championship
Jacksonville playing tonight or Friday?
tonight.
Tonight.
Oh,
They're playing tonight. Yep. So,
Wow.
I mean, there'll be only 4 teams left.
well, there'll be 4 games. There'll be Eastern Finals, right? In the East.
If they win tonight, whoever wins tonight
We'll be
is
playing
gonna
in the
play
Eastern
winners,
Finals.
Going to be playing in the finals. Exactly.
The Eastern Finals.
Right.
So then you got the state championship. Game.
Right.
So 2
You got
games.
3
left
games.
total, yeah.
Got to win.
The
now.
3 games
Okay.
got to win to win the state championship.
Right.
And you know how that was done. Back when y'all did it, it was 5 games, wasn't it?
no.
Or was it 4? 4
games.
games.
Yeah.
Now it's 6 games, man, that you got to win to win a state championship. It's all about the money. And that's what we were talking about. We were talking about the realignment. If you haven't heard, they're going to 8 classifications. So instead of 4 state champions, you'll have 8 state champions. So that means you have 8 state championship games with revenue and souvenir sales and
And them
concession
$12 cups
stands.
of coffee.
Yeah. So that's what it's about. You got anything you want to add
That you
before we
can't
go?
pay cash for. You got to use a card to get it with.
Thank you so much for being with us, Ellis Dillahunt, today.
Thank you, buddy. It's always good seeing you, man.
Man, we talked about your pro career a little bit. We talked about it more the last time you were on here. Cincinnati Bengals went to Super Bowl. Then you went to the Redskins for a year. Will they always be the Redskins for you? Have you embraced the Commander's name yet?
Nah, Redskins.
Still Redskins. And I think I've heard, and you know how you can't believe nothing you see on Facebook, but I've seen several reports that they're trying to get the name back. So I don't know how it'll go or not. We'll see. Anything you want to add before we go, Ashley?
Not a thing, buddy. Looking forward to tonight. I'm glad Hollywood's going to be warm. He'll be in the press box, and
That's right.
we're looking forward to it. Only thing I can say is whenever you guys are ready, go Cards.
And we got to mention our sponsors before we go.
Oh, yeah.
Are we still with us?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to make sure we thank National Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, the losses of John Drew Warlick, CNS Paint, Onslow County Motor Company, Fountain Management, Wismart Chappie's Chicken and Great Gas and Oil, Bartley Insurance Services, Humphrey Heating and Air Conditioning, Rock Creek Golf and Country Club, Golden Corral, Lane Associates Family Dentistry, Jones Onslow EMC, Southern Touch Painting, Barnes Diamond Gallery, and of course, Bayshore Animal Hospital. Thank you to Helen's Kitchen and Billy Grissett for those cheeseburgers, and thank you to Downey's Heating and Air Conditioning for the Hurricane Watch they sponsor, Jason Humphrey and the gang. And that's a wrap for today.
I got to add one thing. Thank you, Ellis, for coming on, buddy. Hopefully we can continue to do this next week, but based on what's happening tonight, I'd like to wish each and every one of you folks a Merry Christmas, the best for the upcoming new year. And Rainer just mentioned those sponsors. Please shop these folks.
Yes.
The money stays here in Onslow County. They're not big box stores. And if it wasn't for those guys and our listeners, we couldn't be here today, and we certainly appreciate it.
And make sure you support the sponsors that support Sports Talk. Right. Anything you want to add before we go, Ellis? Are you good to go?
Thanks for having me
All right,
again.
you going to the game tonight at Havelock?
I thought it was Friday, so
So you going to the game?
Oh, yes,
The
yes,
Jacksonville Havelock. You, any place you plan on eating up that way?
no, I haven't been. You know any
researched
good
yet.
places?
I'll get with you off the air.
All right.
All right.
Well, we'll be rolling out of here, I don't know, shortly.
All right. And we'll see you guys next week on Sports Talk.